My name is Mark Jarvis and I'm CEO of Giga Metals Corporation. We've got an extremely large open pitable sulfide nickel deposit in north central British Columbia in Canada, an excellent jurisdiction, and we trade on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol GIGA. We're in north central British Columbia. The asset is we've got 4 billion pounds of nickel and 250 million pounds of cobalt in the measured plus indicated category under 43-101. And in the inferred category, we've got another 4 billion pounds of nickel and 250 million pounds of cobalt. So very large asset, open pitable, and we're close enough to infrastructure to make it all work. Canada, it's a double-edged sword. Canada has very stringent environmental regulations. We feel that we can meet those regulations easily with this deposit because, for one thing, there will never be any acid rock drainage due to the nature of the rocks. Plus, we're in the battery metals business, so we want to mine and produce metals for a green future, and that's helpful. We're also silicate tailings will sequester CO2 from the atmosphere. We're supporting some research on that. So, really, permitting is politics. We think this will be a very easy project for the politicians to get behind. We just finished a drill program of 10,800 meters and 40 holes. Most of those holes were in support of advancing the project to the pre-feasibility level. And so I'm pleased to say we've got all the data we need to do that. And we're targeting a pre-feasibility study by the third quarter of next year. The last time we did an engineering study, it was a preliminary economic assessment in December of 2011, and that was just before the nickel market collapsed. Nickel is now coming back nicely, particularly on the back of, it's part of the supply chain for lithium-ion batteries, which you need for electric vehicles. So, looking forward, I think we've got a very interesting couple of years ahead of us, just in terms of demand and supply for nickel and for cobalt. We've got an in-house mining engineer named Tom Milner, and Tom's brought many projects into production in his career. He's truly a heavyweight of the business. He was responsible more recently for the restart of the Gibraltar mine, and then the Hunter Dickinson group came along, and with the company Taseko, they started spending the money to bring it into production, but Tom was the engineer that oversaw that restart on time, under budget. When's the last time you heard that? His next project after that was a company called Corriente Resources, which had a large copper porphyry deposit in Ecuador. Tom led the engineering team that produced a feasibility study on that project, and ultimately that company was sold to a Chinese company for $20 a share. So he's really my secret weapon, if you will. We've got an excellent board. We've got John Hikeway on the board. He's a battery materials expert that speaks at conferences all over the world. He has a business helping people that use battery metals source their materials. We've got Phil Robinson, who's part of Pala Investments. Pala is a very large institution that owns about 6.5% of our company. And Phil's just an excellent board member. Lyle Davis is our chairman. Lyle used to work for the TSX. Well, actually, he worked for the Vancouver Stock Exchange before it was bought by the Toronto Stock Exchange. So he chased the bad guys, and he's just, an excellent corporate citizen. That's a pretty good team. We're using Hatch right now, just a group of individuals, not so much Hatch itself, but individuals that Tom has chosen that are at Hatch. So we've got we've kind of got the A team together there to advance this project to pre-feasibility. Well, I think the first thing is sheer leverage. I mean, this is an enormous deposit, and this is the sort of thing, it's almost like an option on the price of nickel. So you're looking for a really big return on your capital here. We've got a market capitalization right now of 8 million Canadian dollars. We've got about $6 million in cash and marketable securities. So at this moment in time, you're paying $2 million for our project. It's just amazing. It's a result of the way the market's been the last year or so. It's been a terrible market, but that spells opportunity. Another takeaway that I'd like people to have is that Cobalt 27 are a group of extremely sophisticated mining people. They did extensive due diligence and elected to pay us good money for a 2% NSR. And so in the middle of a terrible market, we've got enough money to advance this project. We've got enough capital for at least the next 2 years. And so basically that's the smart money investing in our project. That's a pretty important takeaway, I think. This has been excellent. I'm meeting some very good people here.